Gunmen injure Uganda's former army commander, General Katumba Wamala, killing his daughter and driver. France calls for strict adherence for Mali's transition timetable by military authorities. Plus, it's the second day of chaos at the Pan-African Parliament sitting as session is suspended until further notice. Hello and welcome to the program. I'm Layo Adegoke. We begin in Uganda, where gunmen have attacked and wounded Uganda's transport minister, who's also a former army commander, General Katumba Wamala, killing his daughter and driver. Eyewitnesses say men on motorbikes fired several shots at their vehicle near their home in the capital, Kampala. The army says phone calls potentially linked to the planning of this assassination attempt are being investigated. Soldiers are now guarding the hospital where General Wamala is being treated for non-life-threatening injuries. He is regarded as one of Uganda's most respected politicians and military men.
2 people died, the daughter of General Katumba Wamala and even the driver of General Katumba Wamala. But the General Katumba Wamala is already in the hospital, and then there is also another neighbor around who was coming to see the vehicle like this, and then he was also shot. He's also in the hospital. That's the information I can give now.
Let us hope that this time around we are going to get all the other audio reports plus a fresh report of this attempted assassination of General Katumba Wamala and the 2 people who have been killed with him. It is very unfortunate because when you see that even those who are guarded, even those who are in military attire are not feared, can be attacked, then that will explain that the entire country, in terms of security, is lacking.
Ismail Musa Ladu is a senior journalist with the Nation Media Group in Uganda's capital, Kampala. He joins us now for more on this story. Thank you so much, Ismail, for joining us on the program. What is the latest at this time concerning this story about an attempted assassination on the Ugandan minister?
Thank you for having me. And as the honorable member, former member of parliament, Chief Sebagala, just told you, is that the kind of fear that has gripped especially the political class. And at the moment, nobody knows who will be next in line to face the kind of similar situation that General, who is actually well respected and a close lieutenant of the president.
Well, we understand that there are soldiers now guarding the hospital where he's being taken care of. What other information do we have? We know the police say, investigation is underway. Are there any suspects?
At the moment, there is no suspect. Earlier today, President Museveni Institute handle said already he's aware of the schools of people who could have carried out this assassination mission, referring to them as terrorists. He claims that he has some clues that will lead to the arrest of terrorists, whom he also called pigs. So, besides that, there is no further information that we have. But it's important to understand. It's important for us to first understand who General Katumba Wamala is. Maybe it will give us an insight of why this attempt on his life happened. First of all, he oversees, he's the Minister of Works and Transport, and his docket is in charge of the largest budget allocation in the country. Now, about 90% of the funds that his ministry is in charge of is spent in procurement. And for our case here in Uganda, it is in procurement where you find all sorts of characters that we like to call mafia here. So probably, I am not saying that this is true, but probably you could have annoyed a few people, you could have insisted on doing things the right way and refusing to cut corners. And, some people may not be really happy with him. Then, too, you must also understand that already we are in what we call the succession race. Several people already positioning themselves to take over from President Museveni, although President Museveni has not shown any indication of going anywhere following his recent election and swearing in. However, among people who might be able to step in issues or who have the kind of demeanor, respect, and command is General Wamala Katumba. So you cannot also roll out that kind of scenario. So
right.
there's a number of factors. There's a number of factors at play.
All right, then. Thank you so much, Ismail Musa Ladu, a senior journalist with the Nation Media Group in Kampala. Thank you for speaking to us. Moving on to other stories, French Foreign Minister has called for strict adherence to Mali's transitional timetable by military authorities and is reiterating France's condemnation of the coup in the country. Mr. Jean-Yves Le Drian tweeted that France shares the absolute priority given by the ECOWAS to the presidential elections of February 27, 2022, under the strict conditions outlined by the heads of state and government in the May 30th statement. Noting ECOWAS' decision to suspend Mali over the latest coup, he says France backed the establishment of a monitoring committee on the transition by the bloc. And he also said the adherence to the criteria verified by ECOWAS is essential for maintaining international support for Mali. Well, on Sunday, President Emmanuel Macron had said the country would withdraw its troops, seen as critical to the fight against jihadist militants, if Mali moved towards embracing radical Islam. The country has had 2 coups in 9 months, with the military junta leader, Colonel Assimi Goïta, declaring himself as transitional president. Well, the 4th ordinary session of the 5th Pan-African Parliament has ended abruptly. Chaos erupted once again on the floor of the Parliament sitting in Midrand as the lawmakers made yet another attempt at electing officials of the Bureau. 3 candidates from South Sudan, Mali and Zimbabwe are in the running for the presidency, but violence erupted on Monday when delegates from Southern Africa, referring to a letter from the African Union, insisted on rotation of the presidency to the south before any election can take place. Those in favor of elections going ahead say the issue of rotation still needs to be ratified before being adopted by the House. Well, at today's sitting, the Southern African delegates insisted that the clerk should read the said letter before any business can continue. No middle ground has been reached, and the clerk adjourned the session until further notice. Our South Africa Bureau Chief spoke with the leaders of the Southern delegation on the reason they have disrupted the proceedings.
The issue here is about rotation, which is a practice, a principle, and it's in the protocols of the union to which we belong as an organ. The dispute has been since 2014 elections for presidency, when Roger Nkodo of Cameroon decided to run for office. There was serious disputation that he was supposed to be disqualified because he comes from Central Africa, which already had a chance under rotation. But the whole thing was so acrimonious, a lot of noise just like this, and people didn't consider and say, okay, next time, this time, just ignore it. Then people considered and gave Roger a chance. In 2018, the matter came up on the floor, and the South African member of parliament called Santos moved the motion and said, no, but Roger, you are disqualified. And then again, our negotiations were that, okay, we adopt rotation now, but it will start next time, meaning today, or this time round. This time round, again, it is being resisted. So we are simply saying, if we had followed the rotation correctly, in 2015, Southern Africa would have come in. This time, then 2018, Northern Africa would have come in. We would have actually completed the cycle as of May 2021, or the 5th. So for now, we would have been saying we are starting from the beginning, which would doubt the chance would have been for East Africa. But because we did not follow rotation, we are still behind by 6 years in terms of rotation. And we cannot extend it to 9 years and further. So the whole dispute was those that have been victims of the lack of respect have said enough is enough.
What we want here is firmness on the rotation principle, which is a resolution of the African Union. There are 5 regions in the country. The 3 regions have already led PAP. Now the outstanding regions is Southern and Northern. It is our turn. We've never led a PAP since its inception. And we are saying a rotational principle must be implemented. It was supposed to have been implemented in 2015, and there's been a goal shift all along. We are saying no rotation, no election. We're firm. There is a legal opinion as well that strengthens our demand here. That is all what we want.
Well, back here in Nigeria, as the country makes preparations towards the 2023 general elections, the Independent National Electoral Commission is starting an online continuous voter registration exercise. Well, beginning from the 28th of this month, this exercise will allow prospective voters and first-timers to register online, and those who want to adjust their details to do so with ease. The Commission told Channels Television today at its ongoing retreat with its resident electoral commissioners who are brainstorming a blueprint to outline its vision ahead of future elections. INEC National Commissioner Dr. Ademola Ugumola disclosed the online CVR information at the sidelines of the meeting in Lagos.
Thank you. It is going to start on the 28th of June, and we are introducing the online registration, where people will be expected to register online and complete the registration physically in our various various designated locations. The Commission will display the location where they will go to and get the forms out and fill.
Well, Côte d'Ivoire's former president, Laurent Gbagbo, is set to return to the country this month, weeks after he was acquitted by the International Criminal Court. The Secretary General to his party, Asal Adu, says the former leader intends to return on the 17th of June. Before now, Mr. Gbagbo and his former youth minister, Charles Blair, have been negotiating with Ivorian authorities to come back to their home country. In early May, the incumbent president, Alassane Ouattara, said Mr. Gbagbo could come back freely to the country in the wake of a reconciliation process engaged by his government. Since then, negotiations for his return had been going on, but no specific date had been agreed upon. The government created a reconciliatory ministry headed by former opposition candidate Kwadio Konan Bertin just after the 31st of October 2020 presidential election. Still ahead on the program. The United Nations Food Agency says over 90% of people in Ethiopia's Tigray region are in need of emergency food aid. Please stay with us. Welcome back to the program. The United Nations Food Agency says more than 90% of people in Ethiopia's northern region of Tigray are in need of emergency food aid. It's now appealing for $203 million to boost its efforts in the region in order to save lives and livelihoods up to the end of the year. Meanwhile, as fighting in pockets of Ethiopia's Tigray region continues and food supplies dwindle, the International Committee of the Red Cross, ICRC, says that local farmers lack seeds and fertilizer ahead of the planting season and that fears of food shortages are running high.
As fighting continues in parts of Ethiopia's Tigray region, anxiety is rising in communities. People are fearfully watching as their food supplies run low and farmers lack seeds and fertilizer ahead of the planting season. Without the necessary agricultural supplies, thousands of people will run out of food as they wait for harvest. To help farmers who can safely access the agricultural land to grow cereal crops for the next year, the International Committee of the Red Cross, in partnership with the Ethiopian Red Cross Society, is distributing seed and 2 varieties of fertilizer to 16,000 families in the central zone of the Tigray region.
After November last year, there was a lot of losses of seeds that we knew about. There's also been a lack of fertilizer arriving in the area. The land here needs fertilizer, so we came and did an assessment, and the first thing people said that they needed was fertilizer and some seeds. So we did an assessment through the villages, through the communities, and registered 12 kabeles, which consist of 3 to 4 villages each, so about 40 villages in total. The assessment consisted of understanding the security situation, understanding whether people had land, understanding whether people had started farming, whether people had started plowing.
Agriculture is the primary source of livelihood in rural Tigray. However, climate and soil in this mountainous area pose significant challenges to farmers who heavily depend on fertilizer to boost food production. Since armed violence flared up last November, subsidized seeds and fertilizers that can be taken on credit from cooperative unions have been unavailable. Meanwhile, an estimated 1 million displaced people are relying on the support of host communities whose food stores were almost empty. Many farming communities suffered from looting that further undermined their ability to produce food.
The reaction has been incredibly positive. People have the trauma of the famine of the 80s still very much in their psyche. What they were worried the most as the conflict started and as everything was going on, what stresses them the most is the lack of being able to produce food. So this has driven them to continue farming, to continue plowing their lands, and the reaction has been overwhelming. As soon as we're distributing it, we're already seeing people starting to use it, starting to plant the sorghum seeds. Teff seeds will be planted in June. People are prepared.
A recent analysis by the ICRC of the food security situation in the region found that families who can still eat 2 meals a day may soon be forced to have one. Aside from affecting the agricultural cycle, the violence in the region is also making it difficult for families to find casual jobs that will help them buy food.
Well, there's been a shake-up in the Angola's cabinet, with the president firing top officials. President João Lourenço has sacked the head of his security team, Pedro Sebastião, his defense secretary, and also the head of military intelligence. The dismissal comes weeks after army official was detained while trying to leave the country with millions in foreign currency. However, no reasons have been given for the sackings. A Nigerian energy startup founder, OKSA, has created a clean cooking power stove that reduces carbon emissions. The stove, which doubles as a source of energy, is self-powered with IoT technology and uses biomass pellets instead of wood or coal.
Cooking is a basic part of life, and in many rural parts of Nigeria, it's done traditionally with the use of solid fuels like wood or coal, resulting in household air pollution. WHO statistics show that around 3 billion people cook using polluting open fires or simple stoves fueled by kerosene, biomass, and coal. And every year, nearly 4 million people die prematurely from illness attributable to household air pollution. These worrying figures were what motivated OKSA to seek a solution that'll rid the country of these traditional ways of cooking. Through his energy startup, he's developed a clean cooking power stove with a self-powered IoT system for monitoring. The power stove makes use of biomass pellets as fuel, thereby eliminating the use of wood or coal while cooking. The cook stove also has a system that converts the excess heat energy to electricity, making it an alternative source of power to charge electrical appliances and devices like phones.
You just need to on the system, plug it to the 12-volt output and connect it to this system. So that gives households 24 hours access to electricity to solve all their basic household needs.
Power Stove is designed to use less fuel while speeding up cooking time.
The wood pellet comes, in a pack that is very easy to carry. So when you load it in the stove, you add a little kettle. So once the paper and the kettle burns finish, between 1 to 3 minutes, you get your best flame. If for whatever reason it falls off from the surface it's placed, the fire goes off and smokes, so it doesn't explode.
Bearing in mind Sustainable Development Goals 4, 5, and 7, OK is determined to solve social issues associated with cooking.
One is access to clean energy for cooking and lighting. We're solving that problem in last mile communities. We're solving access to gender inequality. We are providing access for children to complete their education, their homework, by giving them access to lighting points.
Like every other startup, there were hiccups faced on OK's entrepreneurship journey.
Our first challenge was power. Electricity is a challenge. The second problem we have when we started was appreciating our product.
There are different health risks associated with household air pollution, and OK's Power Stove, which doubles as an energy source, could be an efficient way to provide affordable, clean energy for people.
Young Moroccan surfers are trying to revive the fortunes of a remote fishing port by promoting it as a destination for their sport and also pushing small economic projects. Their group is also teaching local children to brave the crashing winds. Let's take a look.
In a small fishing town in Morocco's south, wedged between the Atlantic Ocean and the Sahara, a group of young surfers are teaching local children to brave the crashing waves. A day's drive from the cities of northern Morocco, and on the fringe of the world's greatest desert, the group has set up a beachfront cafe where young people can gather, learn, and have fun in the sleepy port of Tarfaya.
The goal behind the club is to teach languages and teach surfing. Our students both rely on this place to grow, as well as take the club's philosophy further.
Tarfaya, with its small harbor, offers few work opportunities for its 9,000 inhabitants. At their New Waves coffee shop, the surfers meet and play music. They borrowed money from the bank to buy the surfboards and wetsuits for their club and to equip the cafe. Perched between desert and ocean, Tarfaya is little more than a way station on the narrow ribbon of asphalt running hundreds of miles down the northwest African coast. Thousands of migrants have drowned at sea, and the surfers had to win over parents fearful of the ocean's swells. Families also did not let girls join the club until they saw the young sister of one of the surfers taking part alongside the boys and realized it was safe.
We were trying to find a way so that young girls can surf too. Now we have a lot of girls surfing, girls that are the future of this club. In the future, we want a girl with a new perspective to lead.
More than 100 local children, boys and girls, have attended the free surfing classes they offer at their wooden shack, watching as instructors demonstrate moves before charging into the sea to try it out for themselves.
Would like in the future, and especially when the cruise ship between the Canary Islands and Tarfaya launches again, to open a surf camp in which all the students would work. That's part of our language learning plan, to broaden their horizon with tourism so they can run this project of the surf camp, which will be related to the club. Why not gain notability one day and have the Nuevas Olas brand known worldwide?
The surfers also teach the children English and Spanish, hoping to open their horizons beyond scant local job offerings or the lure of joining migrants heading to Europe via illegal and perilous boat journeys to the Canary Islands 100 kilometers away.
And that's the program for today. Thank you for watching. I'm Layo Adegoke.